All right. What is the Rebbe talking? Let's just refresh our memory a little bit from what we learned yesterday. This is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the end of 1991, Tafshin Nun Beit. And in it, he's speaking about Moshiach and how it is that we can see that the Moshiach is already here and that the redemption, the Geula, has already begun. And just to make everything clear over there, what we're talking about, this Geula and the redemption, what it means. It means, first of all, we had something like that in the course of Judaism. Not only we had something, all of Judaism is based on this. The Jewish religion is based on a big miracle that happened, amazing miracle. That's the foundation of Judaism, that God personally himself took the Jews out of Egypt, split the sea, gave them bread from heaven, water from a rock. Before that, he decimated the Egyptians, our enemies, our masters. The Egyptians brought the Jews to Mount Sinai, gave them the Torah. They all saw God, they all heard God, face to face, it says. And then he took them through the desert and brought them to the land of Israel. This is the basis of Judaism. That God freed the Jews. Amazing. Picked the whole entire nation. Okay, there were certain drawbacks back then. First of all the Jews didn't want to leave Egypt. Only 1/5 left. And when they were in the desert, after they complained all the time. In fact, even just shortly after they received the Torah and heard directly from God, don't worship idols. They did it. They worshipped idols. Moses, they thought he was delaying from coming to Mount Sinai. They thought he wasn't going to come down from Mount Sinai. And they waited a couple of hours and they worshiped the golden calf, exactly what God's. So, okay, there were problems. Granted, there were problems. And it says, but nevertheless, let's look at the big picture. The big picture is something happened to the Jews that they never expected. And in a way they didn't deserve. And even more, they weren't able to accept it. It was too much for them. God personally changed the world just for these Jews. I mean, they had been slaves for 4 generations. They had no idea, what it meant to really be free and make your own decisions. And especially to be so connected to God. They were connected to God like Moses was. They saw God, they heard God directly. But nevertheless, something happened to the Jews that was totally unexpected. It was a total surprise. Even though they were expecting, they heard that one day somebody was going to come to take them out, but they didn't know what it meant already. Like to go out. Okay, Mashiach is going to be the same thing. Mashiach is going to do a big miracle. Judaism is based on that. Mashiach is going to do something that's unexpected, right? He's going to free us. What's he going to free us? He's going to free us especially from ourselves. He's going to free us from our own misconceptions, our own egotism, our own doubts, anxieties, and how do you say, selfishness, right? The Mashiach is going to simply reveal all the good potential in everything in the world. Another way of saying that is reveal the godliness in everything in the world. So the world will be a happy place, a good place, a productive place, a dynamic place, full of vitality and positiveness. There won't be any more depression or aggression or addictions and etc. That's Mashiach's. That's first stage. Second stage is going to be all sorts of revelations of God that just you can't explain what they are. The writings of Chassidut do, to a certain degree, talk about these revelations of God, these upper spiritual worlds that now are hidden from us, but the Rebbe's knew about them in a revealed way, and this will be revealed to us. So everyone in the world will be able to know God and understand God. That's what the Maimonides says. The whole world will only be interested in knowing God. Like everybody nowadays wants to know about money or politics or whatever they want to know. And then in the future, people will only be interested in knowing God. God will be so real and so practical, so good, it'll be better than money, better than... Okay, just one moment, please, one moment. Let me just take a more short break here. Short break. All right, so that's where we're going. Let's go. So the Rebbe said one of the ways we can see that the redemption is beginning is because France, that there has been a tremendous change in France. France, especially at the time of the Alter Rebbe, was the ultimate opposer to God. France was the country of, what do you want to call it? Meaninglessness, free thinking. You make up your own world. You're the boss. You're God. Do what you want. Have a good time. Don't hurt anybody else. Liberty, equality, fraternity. All these ideas, which were basically coming to destroy any rulership of God in the world. France. And this really came to a big head with Napoleon. Napoleon was beloved by most of the Jewish leaders, religious, Hasidic Jewish leaders, because he's promised equality. There won't be any more, oppression of the Jews. Everybody's going to be equal. And the Alter Rebbe said that if Napoleon wins, it'll raise up the glory of the Jewish people. Napoleon wanted to make Medinat Yisrael. He wanted to make a Sanhedrin. Napoleon wanted to make a Sanhedrin, 500 men. This is a Sanhedrin. There would be Jews from all over, religious and non-religious, and they would be the big court, and all the Jews would go to the land of Israel. Seriously, he wanted to make a Medinat. And the Alter Rebbe, everybody was for it. The Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, was tremendously against it, to the degree that he sent spies to spy on Napoleon to try to, ensure his defeat. Okay. But nevertheless, what happened is Napoleon, we know, had lost, and the Alter Rebbe also lost his life because he was running away from Napoleon. An interesting story, by the way, which are this: when Napoleon came into the city where the Alter Rebbe was, Napoleon, it seems, had supernatural powers. He was a sorcerer, and the Alter Rebbe was very afraid of him. First Rebbe of Chabad was very afraid of him, and when he heard that Napoleon was coming, so he ran away from the city. He took his whole family, and they moved. There was 60 wagons or something like that, and the Alter Rebbe sent somebody back to see if he had left anything there, because he didn't want to have any of his possessions fall into the hands of Napoleon. And he told these people that went back, I want you to burn my house. They burned his house down. The Alter Rebbe ordered that his own house should be burnt down so that Napoleon would not get anything of the Alter Rebbe's. And interestingly enough, when they went into the city of Liazna, they conquered the city. Napoleon conquered almost everything in Russia until the winter set in, whatever the cause was. But he was winning and winning. And when he went into the city of Liazna, the first thing he did, Napoleon, when he went in, was send soldiers to the Alter Rebbe's house to see if they could get anything of his. And they came back, they said, we didn't have anything. Because it seems that he had the power of, I guess they call it sympathetic magic or whatever it is, that he could actually, it's pretty incredible, this story. It's pretty amazing. So it says, Yesh Lomo, we can say that this, and especially these two things, that number one, that the lowest of the worlds get refined, namely that's France. There's nothing below it. And also, what is revealed in the lowest worlds? The essence of God, in a way that it becomes one with the upper worlds. In other words, God creates everything, and France was the place that denied it the most. And in France is revealed a higher level of God. How can you see a highest level of God? Because we see that there's people in France, Jews in France, that are returning back to Judaism. Also, the word tzarfat means to refine. L'tzaref. We did this yesterday, right? That the whole idea of refining tzarfat, this shows the ultimate level of refining the whole world. Also, we can say tzarfat is the numerical value of 770. 770 is the gematria of tzarfat. Tzarfat, we have resh is 200, taf is 400, 200, 400, 600. Tzaddik is 90. We have, right, 690. Pei is 80, 770. Comes out. Like it says in the Gila the Geula, It says over there, we had last week's Torah portion with in Ovadia. It said that there will be, everything will be refined. The whole world will be fine. No, this is not Ovadia. Ovadia talks about France, it says near. And says that everything will be yitzarfu, Rabim. Everything will be, this is from Daniel. This is from Daniel. The future redemption will come by means of a complete refinement and cleaning up of the whole entire world. And to add on also that Tzarfat is the numerical value 770. That 770, that's the completion of the number 7, which is the date world was created in 7 days. 7, 10 times, and 100 times. Okay, we did this yesterday. Here we go. And even more. 770, this happens to be the address of the house where the previous Rebbe lived. That's the headquarters of Chabad today. But the previous Rebbe, when he came into America in, 1940, he bought this building, 770, where it is now today. Asher Bo, that in this building, that he worked in the last 10 years of his life when he came to America. Good. We did this yesterday. See if we can even add on that this is, especially when it says, when you go to a country, you should walk in the ways of that country. Namely, what you use, the customs and everything of that country to purify it. And that the previous Rebbe, he went to France. He was in France. Especially the Rebbe himself was really in France. He was there for a long time. Says the Rebbe, we really, one depends on the other. In order to refine the lowest place possible, which was France, is you have to have a power which is the highest. Mitzad bechinas giluyim, if you only use revealed aspects of God, Torah, commandments, prayer, then there's a difference between upper worlds and lower worlds. Then you can only draw godliness, but makom, in a place, shehu kli, that's able to accept it. Like, for instance, take an example, Torah. You can't learn Torah in the toilet. You can't learn Torah. Commandments. The commandments have to be very exact, right? They can't be, the tefillin can't be, the chipped or something, which is not the case when you get to the power of the essence of God. The essence of God is above high and low. Then from the essence of God, and that's really Jewish self-sacrifice, then levarer letzaref, then you can refine even the lowest possible places. Right? Jewish self-sacrifice, that was the basis from Abraham. There's holiness and there's religion, and then there's what we call self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice, it's not Jewish and it's not religion. There's nothing. You sacrifice yourself. Technically, it could be you'll die, God forbid. When you die, there's no Torah, and there's no commandments, and there's no holiness, and there's no nothing. You can't learn, you can't pray. How does that fit into Judaism at all? He says, not only does it fit in, that's the essence. The essence of Judaism is the willingness to do anything for the sake of God and not thinking about yourself at all. It doesn't mean to jump off of buildings, but it means that if that's really what's required, is that's what you have to do. Of course, you have to be sure that's what's required. But that's the whole story of Chanukah, and also the story of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and also of the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad. He was willing to sacrifice his life in order to spread out the ideas of Chassidut. And the previous Rebbe also. That was the power that refined France. Va'ad Yeterem, even more, Lahamshich Sham, to draw down into this lower place, this lowest place of France, at the Etzem Atzma, the essence of God. That's what we see. That we see now that there's Jews in France that are all of a sudden they're becoming religious. They want to serve God. They're not becoming religious. They're just expressing their Judaism. Became God also the other way around. Only by means of the lowest place can you reveal the essence. Only when there's a big test do our true powers really come out. The lowest place, this evokes the essence of the Jew, Asher Poel at the Birur, and this can even refine the whole world. Al Pizeh, according to this, we can also understand the Shleimus of Birur Ba'olam Begula. What will be the refinement of the world in the Geula, in the future redemption, which we hope is not future, it has to be in any second now. Like it says, what do we say? That was in the end of that Haftorah of Ovadia we had last week. For all of Moshe and Bahar Zion, there will come the saved ones, the Jews, to the Mount of Zion, Lishpot, and they will judge, they will teach Har Esav, the mountain of Esav. And then God will be the king of the world. This depends, when is this going to happen? Only when the Jewish people are within the exile of Tzarfat. In other words, in the country, speaking the language, doing according to the customs of that country. Of course, nothing in contradiction to the Torah. But by being in the country and speaking the language and eating the type of food they have or whatever, of course, kosher. By means of doing that, that refines the world. Being on the lowest place, that evokes the highest level. In two ways. Number one, Mikiv and Shehu Makom, since it's the lowest place, then this brings about Gomer B'Shlemos. If you can refine that place, then you can refine the whole world. Kamarumas B'Shem, that's what Tzarfat is. Tzarfat means tziruf, refining. But on the other hand, in the birur of Tzarfat, in refining this France, Tzarfat, which is the gematria of 770, this hints at the revelation which gives the power, levorer, at kol inyanim sheb'shlemos. It draws down from this tremendously high place, which is inaccessible to us in our day-to-day life. When we're put into a situation where we realize that we have to totally go against our nature in order to do what's right, and that was the thing of France, was nature, in order to do what's right, then that evokes the highest essence of our nature, how the Jew is connected in his essence to God. Not how the Jewish people in general and all the Jews or the big rabbis, but every single Jew is connected to the essence of God. Until so often that every single place we can draw down the revelation of God's essence. So in order to excuse me, to facilitate even more, to help every Jew even more, look at this amazing thing. That we can see in a revealed way, that everyone can see the transformation that happened in France. What is it? This is also an answer to those people who complain, why don't we see any big miracles? Like we did back then when Moses left Egypt, there was the 10 plagues and splitting the sea and bread from heaven. Those are miracles. Now, what do we see? There's no miracles now. Maybe we should just act normal. Forget about all this business. That God took Moses out of Egypt and the whole the Jewish people, maybe it happened back then, a nice story, but for sure not now. We don't see any miracles. Those people who say that, says the Rebbe, I've got an answer for them. And it says later on, a big miracle, Lamarbaki, Tainazu, Mufrachasi. Even though that this complaint that God doesn't do any miracles, it's ridiculous. But nevertheless, even let's give a little bit of credence to that claim, and let's, according to the terms of these people that say there's no miracles and God has left us, I'll give you an answer that even they will understand. What's the answer? Listen. Yidum, for instance, Shakal Medina, that every country has Nigun Miyuchad. It has its national anthem. Huh? Oh, say, can you see, right? What is in England? God Save the Queen, whatever it is. Every country has their national anthem. Nigun Medina, the song of the country. Al Derech Degel, like every country has their own flag of the country. Sha'oto Sarim, they're sharing, that this song they sing or they play whenever there's any sort of big, sports event or something like that, or any sort of official event, right? That the queen comes, the president comes, or Kasher Toshvi al Medina, when people of the country, they come together. Similarly, Kasher Bo'i Koach, Nitzigim Shal Medina Nosim, the Medina Cheres, right? A representative of France comes to America. As soon as the representative of France comes in, as the American band starts playing, right? That's an honorable thing, right? Honorable. move on, so it's understood. Shenigun Medina. If so, the song of that country, miatzeg dugma. This is an example of the country, right? This is like the personality of the country. Alachas kama v'kama. Similarly, kishimedu bar odos niguno shel Medina Tzarfat, of the national anthem of France, like it's known that this was nitchaber be'et ha'mapecha. When did they make this song up? The song was made up when there was the French Revolution. I don't know really what the words are to it. You have to see. Especially according to Kabbalistic, right, the spiritual aspect of it, how you do it, it's known that every single country has a what's called a patron angel, a sar. Like we just finished seeing that Yaakov fought with the angel of Esav. So every nation has its angel, its spiritual force, which gives it its nature and its successes and everything like that. Yishlom, we can say Suzeh, Kam Kashur. Also, this angel is also connected to the angel, which is power and to the country and success to the country, as that's connected also to the song. That's the reason that song was. The people think they're just picking a regular song, but really it comes from these spiritual motivations or inspirations, or whatever you want to call it. A few years ago, Hitchilu Chasidim l'shir at the nigun shel Medina Tzarfat. The Chasidim started to sing this song. This was when Tafshin Lamed Daled. I was there in Tafshin Lamed Daled. This was in 1973, I guess. 73. Near the end of 74. The Hasidim they took the song of France and they started to sing. It's part of the prayer. It's an alphabetical order of the prayer we say on Shabbat, right before Baruch Shamar. The Hasidim started to sing the song of France, the song of the revolution. But they sang the song, they changed the words. And the words were Aderet ve'amun l'chayei that that the splendor and that we have faith in the one who enlivens the world. Chai olamim. Tehillah v'tiferet l'chai olamim. The glory and the praises go to the one who enlivens the world. Chai olamim. Meshach Zaman, that began when? In 1973, let's say. Meshach Zaman, shortly after that, he'd rachesh davar pili v'yoter. An amazing thing happened. Medina Tzarfat chololu shinui b'nigun Medina. They actually changed some parts of the song. I don't know what exactly they changed, but because there's the one part. What exactly they changed, I don't know. But I have friends here from France, and they say yes, that definitely was something was changed over there. And anyway, the reason was Masbirin Ziknei Hasidim, the elder Hasidim explained that why did France all of a sudden change its song? The song has been going on for how long? For 100 and something years. When did the French have their 200 something years? What are you talking about? The French had the revolution in in the end of the night in the 1700s. I forgot already. Anyway, so it's been going on. They had the song already for 200 and whatever it is, 30 years over, and all of a sudden they changed it. What did they change it for? Since then, the reason is because the song was used by the Hasidim and it changed to be holy. They didn't want to use a song that was holy. So they changed it from the original. We, so to speak, stole the whole song from them. So they had to make a new song. So they changed certain details. Hargish Zot Asar. So because when the Hasidim changed, they used the song, they changed the words and they used it for holiness. So this ministering angel of France felt this, and the mazal and the spiritual influence of France also changed, and that caused below that they changed the song. Mitzvah Regas. I mean, it's pretty weird, you know. I mean, you don't in the American national anthem, you know, either the people that take a knee, they do this, but nobody would think of changing the American national anthem, right? Although I'm bursting in air, Nobody's going to change the song in the middle of the song. Who does it? France did it. The song became shaykh because all of a sudden the song, we stole the song, so to speak. The French, what used to be the French national anthem, is now part of holiness. Nigun Chassidik became a Chassidic song that we sing at times of Farbrengens, including also Farbrengens that are made in France itself. Lachu and Nigun, so we took the song and we transformed it to holiness. Aderet ve'amun l'chai olamim means the beauty and the faith should only be to the creator of the world, the one who enlivens the world. B'sharim don't we sing it in tenuot, b'hitvadot, chassidiot, and there's different movements to the song in the Chassidic Farbrengens. Shebe'em medabrin, that we talk about Torah and commandments and Chassidut. But ad kedei kach, to the degree sheyeshnam ke'elu, that there are those she'enam yodin, they don't know at all shenigun zeh, that this song was taken from anywhere. They think it's just a Hasidic song that some old Hasid made up. They don't even know that it used to be the French national anthem. And they think that this was a Hasidic song from the beginning. Maybe who knows, the Alter Rebbe wrote it or something. From time, there's the Hasidic songs, they're invented. The Hasidim sometimes make up songs. Those people who are able to make good songs, and people sing it. If so, this becomes a part of the Hasidic repertoire of songs. Why am I talking about this now, says the Rebbe Befrat, and especially a person can say, you're supposed to be talking about Torah, and this is what are you talking about, modern, events and the news. What do we care, friends? As Ein Lo Zman, a Chassid could say, listen, I'm a religious person. I don't have time to talk about what happens in France. Even the miracles, right? I'm just interested in learning Torah. That's what a person could say. Says the Rebbe, I'm telling you why I'm talking about this. First of all, there has to be a recognition and giving praise to God on the miracles that he does, number one. And especially when we're standing to the days of Hanukkah, that the whole thing of Hanukkah is the advertising of a miracle. Now, just a short parenthetical statement, that Hanukkah is a very strange law in Hanukkah. And that is that you can do the commandment and even make the blessing, and you really have not done the commandment. The commandment. For instance, what do you do? In the synagogue, you can light the candles of Hanukkah. You make a blessing on lighting the candles of Hanukkah, and even the person who lit them does not fulfill his obligation. There is, so why light them? Because there's an obligation on Hanukkah to advertise the miracle. To advertise the miracle, to advertise it, even though you're not doing the commandment. You're lighting the candles outside. Chabad makes this huge menorahs, right? And they make a blessing. Everybody hears. Everybody says Amen. And then nobody has really fulfilled their obligation of lighting Hanukkah candles, unless I guess if you really intend it or something. But there's an obligation to advertise the miracle. Says the Rebbe, there's an advertise it's a good thing to advertise every miracle. Even if you want to say that in the other days of the year, you don't have to make such a big thing of advertising miracles all the time, right? Going in the streets every day and say, you know what happened in the 6-Day War? You don't have to advertise miracles. And you don't have to advertise the miracles of Hanukkah or Purim. But in the days of Hanukkah itself, there is a very basic principle that you have to advertise miracles. So therefore we can say this also includes this miracle of the war and the miracle of Hanukkah and the bottle of oil. Not only that, but also all miracles, any miracles that God does, this is the time to talk about the miracles. And the main thing is we should recognize and we should appreciate and we should give praise to God on the miracles that he does. When we do this, this adds on the idea of hakara tova, of gratitude, simple gratitude, right? This is relevant to the coming of the Mashiach and the true redemption. Why? Like the Gemara says, Mashiach. Chezkiyahu was a king of Israel in the time of Isaiah the prophet. Isaiah the prophet. And he was a totally righteous person. They say that all the prophecies that Isaiah made about Mashiach, we're talking about Chezkiyahu. And Chezkiyahu says God wanted Chezkiyahu, King Chezkiyahu, he wanted to make him Mashiach. He had all the qualifications of Mashiach, the qualities of Mashiach. Says, Omer, he wanted to make a Mashiach, says, but the attribute of severity came in front of God and said, Chezkiyahu, Shasita lo kol nisim, that Chezkiyahu, you made all these big miracles. What happened? If you know the story a little bit about Chezkiyahu, we don't have that much time, but the Sancheriv was the king of what, Assyria or something, and he laid siege to Jerusalem. And he had a huge army of, you have to look and see, like 100,000 men or something. And the Jews were really in a bad situation. And the prophet Isaiah came to Chezkiyahu, the king, and said, don't worry about it. God is going to take care of it. And he said, okay. He was the king, and he was expecting any second now they're going to breach the walls and just kill everybody inside. He said, you don't have to worry. Then all of a sudden, in the morning, he woke up, and what happened? There was no more army. An angel came and killed everybody. Killed everyone that was there. So it says that was a pretty big miracle. And there's another miracle that also Chezkiyahu was sick, and he was dying. And he called in the prophet Yeshayahu and said, why am I dying? He said, because you don't want to get married. And he said, okay, I saw that if I get married, my sons are going to be evil. He said, you don't have to worry about the secrets of God. You just get married. And he did. And anyway, so Isaiah said to him, Yeshaya, the prophet, said to Chezkiyahu that it's too late. God already declared you're going to die. You can get married all you want to. There's a decree on you. That's it. You're going to die. He said, okay, you finished your prophecy, then go away. And it said that he turned his face to the wall and he prayed, and God kept him alive. God healed him. So it said the angel came in front of God and said, you want to make Chezkiyahu a Mashiach? Want to make a Mashiach? You know what he did? God said, what did he do? He's a totally holy person. So you did him these big miracles. Below Marshira lefanecha. He didn't make any songs. He didn't praise you. Taso Mashiach, you're going to make him into the Mashiach. So if so, we see how important it is that we have to praise God for everything that happens, and that this depends and is connected to the Mashiach, and Mashiach should come now by means of our praises. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now we're going to do the Yom Yom. I'm just turning off for one moment, and we're going to do Yom Yom. Just don't leave. Don't leave. Here we go.